Hey, ik ben Esmee en vandaag interview ik Ellie Williams. Ellie is een 19-jarige singer-songwriter uit LA en ze is een van onze push-artiesten. Hey Ellie, it's great to meet you. So nice of you to meet me. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So nice to meet you as well. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And how has your 2020 been? Because obviously there has been a global pandemic, but you also released some new music. So what's that been like?
2020 has definitely been crazy. There's been a lot of bad, like in general for the whole world. But there's been a lot of like personal victories with like releasing music, which has been a very interesting combination for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. And speaking about your music, you released your song Clueless a couple of months ago. Can you tell us what it's about?
Yeah, absolutely. So Clueless is kind of about it's about having feelings for someone you're really close with and kind of struggling to determine whether or not they reciprocate those feelings or if they're just being friendly. And it's just kind of that internal struggle that you go through when you don't know if someone's flirting with you, if they're just being friendly. It's hard to distinguish the difference for sure.
Yeah. And what was the inspiration behind the song?
Definitely a personal experience that I went through. Like during high school, I just had a big crush on one of my friends, and I couldn't tell if they felt the same way or if they were just completely oblivious to the whole thing. So I was like, I'm not gonna act on it because I don't know where they're at, and it was just that. And there was one day in particular where I was just especially kind of frustrated about it and confused about it. And I came home and sat down and just wrote all of Clueless in one sitting, and that's just kind of how it came about.
Oh wow.
But yeah,
You already said it. You wrote it a couple of years ago. But why did you release it this year? What was it that you were like, okay, I'm gonna release it now?
I think it wasn't really like a conscious decision to wait and release it. I think it was more so just kind of getting the song musically and like production wise to a place where I was like, okay, this is what Clueless is and this is what I want to share with people. And that just happened to take a couple years. But I'm really happy with where it's at, and how people are responding to it has been great. And so I'm glad that I waited. I'm glad I didn't rush it.
And talking about your music, you also put out a lot of other songs. And I picked out 5 of your songs, and each of the songs have a question attached to it. And it's all either based on the song titles or the lyrics. So it's like a little game. Well, let's start with your first song. It's called Live Cinema. And in the song, you sing about movies and cartoons. So I was curious, what is your favorite movie or cartoon at the moment?
Oh, I think um oh, that's hard. I think my favorite movie recently has been Booksmart by Olivia Wilde, and also About Time, I think by Richard Curtis, which one of them is a lot more romantic, and then one is like more of a coming of age movie. But those have been, I love those movies. I could watch them on repeat for weeks on end.
And let's go on with the second song that I picked out. It's called Partly. It's also a song that you released last year. What is a party that you would like to be invited to once?
I want to say like a birthday party of a celebrity that I admire, because I feel like you have to be friends with someone in order to go to their birthday party. And if I can go to a birthday party of like a celebrity that I admire, then I'm friends with them. So I think that would be sick if I got invited to like the birthday party of someone that I love, like Harry Styles or something. Like that would be so sick.
And talking about other celebrities, other artists, you have a song called The Perfect Playlist. So I was wondering, what would be the number one song on your own perfect playlist?
I think right now, I don't know if you listen to Olivia Rodrigo, but she just came out with a song, I think like yesterday, called Driver's License, and I have not been able to stop listening to it. So definitely that one. I think also a song called Roller Skates by an artist named Ryan with two N's, and Miss Shiny by Kate with two I's, I think. Those would be like my top three that I've just been listening to a lot recently. So those would definitely be the top three on my new playlist.
You also put out a lot of music yourself, but what is your own personal favorite from all of the songs that you've put out?
Oh, I think I love Clueless. Clueless is definitely up there. I also think Partly is one of my favorites because it was one of the first ones that I kind of released after a while and was kind of a new production style, a new writing style that I had developed. So I think that one probably Partly.
Another song of yours is called Sweet Dreams. And I was wondering, what dreams do you have, or what are things that you would like to do or achieve?
I think, I'm still so young in the music industry that there's so many people I have yet to meet, so much I have yet to learn about various aspects of the industry. So I think as far as things that I want to accomplish, I would love to be able to write with some of the people that inspired me growing up. Like I would love to work with Alicia Cara. I love her. I think she's so talented. And I think, yeah, just writing with people that I love, writing for myself more, writing for other people, maybe exploring different career paths like in the music industry, like management or something. There's just so many options that I haven't tried, so it might be fun to kind of just try those out eventually and see which ones stick.
We already talked about your song Clueless, so I obviously had to make a question for that song. It's kind of like a spiritual question, but what is one thing that you wish you were clueless about?
One thing that wish that I was clueless about. I feel like there are so many things I'm clueless about now that I don't want to be clueless about. I think that's hard because there's a saying that like ignorance is bliss. But honestly, I don't know if there's something that I would want to not know about. I feel like it's always been the opposite. Like I definitely want to know more than I do.
I would like to talk about your career for a second, because you were very young when you started your music career. What was it like to be like that young and already release your own music?
Um, I personally think it's quite funny. I started writing, I released an album, I think, my like sophomore year of high school, and all of the songs on that album were songs that I had written when I was 14. So I was writing like heartbreak songs at the age of 14, which is such a young age to experience heartbreak. Like I definitely did not experience real heartbreak at 14. Um, so I think just looking back, it's kind of comical because it was a sort of like fake it till you make it thing. I was very dramatic, very cinematic with all those songs. And yeah, I think looking at where I'm at now as far as my writing style and what music I'm making, I think releasing at such a young age was really good because it kind of just pushed me in that direction and got me to take things seriously at a very young age, which is great because there's nothing else I want to be doing. So might as well just start young and work on it.
You're also still in school. How do you balance your school life and your music career?
Poorly, I would say. I think anyone who's in music. I was just having this conversation last night with my friend Ella, actually, because she's also an amazing songwriter in school, and we were talking about how difficult it is to balance both because you get assigned so much work always, and there's always new opportunities, and you're going to want to do all of them. So it's really hard to kind of pick and choose what you're able to do. So in my experience, I definitely sacrifice school quite a bit to do things that I want to do.
And we also make radio for students. Do you have any advice for them?
I would say, well, I think everyone is different. I think school also might not, like college specifically, might not always be the perfect thing for everyone. I think you just kind of have to know yourself and what works for you. I think my advice would be try to figure out what things you want to prioritize and then just kind of do what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And make sure you're happy in that process, because if you're not happy doing it, then it's not going to be a good time and you're going to hate a lot of it. That's my advice. Find good people to do that with also.
And if you were able to, if past COVID again, if you were able to go to Amsterdam and do some shows here, would you do that? Would you be willing to?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I just looked out of curiosity. I was like, how far away is Amsterdam from where I am right now? I think it's like a 10-hour like nonstop flight, I think, something. But yes, absolutely, 100% would do that.
Thank you so much for meeting me once again. And it was lovely to talk to you.
It was lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you in Amsterdam post-COVID.
I'll see you there.